there! Today I'm talking about why successful realtors are using transaction coordinators and how it can completely transform your real estate business. Let's get started. If this is your first time visiting our channel, my name is Kerri Jonikas and I am the owner and a transaction manager at Amplify Transaction Services. If you would like to find out more information about how we can help you, you can visit our website at www.amplifytransactions.com. First, let's start and talk about what is a transaction coordinator or TC. Now, not all transaction coordinators are created equally, so you have to keep this in mind. Transaction coordinators are working on the administrative aspects of the transaction, whether it be on the listing side or once you go under contract and go to closing. They can assist on either, again, the listing side or the transaction side, but the duties are a little bit different based on each. However, they are going to be tracking documentation. They're going to be doing follow-ups. They're tracking deadlines. They are communicating with all parties throughout the transaction and making sure that all parties are clear on what is happening in the transaction. Now, you may have a licensed assistant at your office or a licensed party at your office that is a transaction coordinator, and they may do a little bit more than a traditional transaction coordinator. Most transaction coordinators that are working as unlicensed administrative professionals, handling only the administrative aspects. So they are not going to do any repair negotiations. They are not going to negotiate if there's any changes in the purchase price due to the appraisal. They aren't going to be explaining the contracts to the client. Those are all licensed activities. So the transaction coordinator is strictly focused on those administrative, unlicensed activities. Now, why do successful realtors use a transaction coordinator? Successful realtors are using transaction coordinators because this helps to free up their time where they're not spending time on drafting documents and tracking them for signature. I don't know how many times we've gone back and forth on a transaction where I've sent something to someone and then they say that they don't get it, or they say something needs to be corrected, or they want to add something to a document. Those are things that take a lot of time out of the day, and they're hard to do from your car. So if you are out on listing appointments, or if you are in your car and you're headed to different showings, those are all things that take a lot of time and effort that are very challenging to do from your car. Of course, you could do it, but it is very challenging. Some of the other things would be, just that client communication and following up with certain parties in the transaction. For instance, following up with a lender. There's typically a lot of back and forth that goes along with that. Of course, again, you can do that from your car, but it makes it much more efficient. And because transaction coordinators have a specific process, this really helps to save time because they have a very efficient way of managing the transaction, so you're not doing double or triple work. So say you reached out to someone for an answer, you got the answer back, you forgot that you had asked that question, then you go back and ask it again, they answer it again. So everyone is taking too much time in the transaction, whereas if you're focused on those deadlines or those checklists, you would be much more efficient in what you're doing. That's not to say that an agent can't do this and they can't create systems and processes themselves, but again, it goes back to if you're in your car or if you're in between appointments and you're trying to do everything on the go, it's much more challenging to do that than a transaction coordinator who is sitting behind their desk and that is their sole job. Number 2 is efficiency. We kind of talked about this a little bit in number 1, but the efficiency definitely is there for the agent. The more the TC is able to take off of the agent's plate, the more they're going to be able to take the time to focus on getting more clients and helping more clients. They can also focus more time on the relationship building themselves instead of spending time on chasing lenders for information, tracking signatures, getting utility information, helping their clients get the utility set up, reminding things reminding the clients things before closing, following up with attorneys. All of those things take away from the efficiency of the agent, and we want the agent to be as efficient as possible so they can continue to grow their businesses. And that's how our successful realtors are being more efficient in their workflow, by delegating those administrative tasks to a transaction coordinator. Number 3 is minimizing errors. I know so many agents that are working from their car, as I have said before, and you're doing it on the go. You're trying to get things done as soon as possible. And unfortunately, when you're doing that, you're not fully focused on the task at hand. You're just trying to get done so you can move on to your next task, which usually is a showing, a listing appointment, an appointment meeting, a buyer, things like that, going to a home inspection. So you're more focused on those immediate tasks, and mistakes can happen. I have had clients that have come to us after they were managing transactions on their own, and they have shared some horror stories with us that mistakes have happened on documentation that they didn't catch, and then unfortunately they got either fined, forgetting to put things in the MLS. Again, they get fined. Those are things that we can take off of your plate to help you to be more successful and to be more accurate in your transactions. So how does one get started with a transaction coordinator? Well, I definitely say do your research before you start working with a transaction coordinator. If there are any reviews that you can take a look at, reviews are definitely super helpful. I'm sure, as you know, if you are going out and you are looking to work with any type of business, what's the first thing that you do? You look for the reviews, right? The reviews should speak to what you want. What is your goal? Are those reviews meeting what you are looking for in a transaction coordinator? What is their response time? Are they easily accessible during the day if you need something? What is the feedback about their personality? How is their communication? Communication is a big piece, and probably the most important piece in working with a transaction coordinator is how well they communicate. That communication is going to make your transactions smoother and also make it much easier for you to work through the transaction, because having clear and prompt communication really truly is going to make a huge difference in your transactions. And when you think about it from a client standpoint, when the client wants something or needs an answer on something, sometimes they just want to talk to someone. It doesn't even necessarily mean that the person has to have the answer. They just want to explain something to someone. And if you're out on appointments and you might be gone for an entire day, it would really be hard for them to wait till the next day until you get in to be able to, get the ball rolling on something. And so having a transaction coordinator that can be there as a sounding board to be able to get things done will be a benefit to your client as well. So if you want to get started, number 1, you want to check out those reviews. And then if you're interested in working with us, usually we go through a discovery call, which would be, we would jump on a call, go over any questions that you have, walk through our list of services and fees, and talk about anything that you feel that might be missing that maybe you really need help with. And we can see if there is a way to customize your services to fit into what you are looking for. Sometimes we can make adjustments to our services, and sometimes it's just not a right fit. It just depends on what you're looking for. After that discovery call, we would then move into doing your onboarding call, and that is where we go through your list of tasks and we customize that to what you do in your business. Because not every agent is working in the same manner, we definitely want to have that call so we can make sure that we are working in a way that you are used to working in. There's certain tasks that sometimes some agents do it one way, some agents do another day. I've had agents that say I only do, closings on, Tuesdays or Thursdays, and it has to be between 10 and 11 a.m. Certain things like that, we want to get that criteria up front. That way, when we have a first file, we can hit the ground running and it's a much smoother transition than if we just kind of jump in. And I have done it both ways, and I can tell you that 30-minute call or 1 hour, depending on how many questions everyone has, is really a true benefit to getting started on the right foot. And I would recommend that if we are not the right fit for you, that you do find someone that does do this onboarding call, because I really do feel that it truly makes a big difference. Being able to get on the call with your transaction coordinator and kind of walk through some of those questions that you might have. That also gives you an opportunity to learn a little bit more about your transaction coordinator. If you are interested in setting up a discovery call, you can text me at 815-293-7701 or email us at info@amplifiedtransactions.com. You can also visit our website at www.amplifiedtransactions.com. Don't let the paperwork and admin tasks hold you back from growing your business. Contact us today for that discovery call. Thank you so much for stopping by, and we'll see you on the next one.